Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the July 24th, 2025 meeting of the Montclair Historic Preservation Commission. Notice has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting a copy of the notice on the first floor of the municipal building and by sending a copy to the Montclair Times, the Star Ledger, and the Herald News. This will be broadcast live on Channel 34 Montclair and remotely streamed on our YouTube channel. Zinab, could you please call the roll?
Chair Bennett.
Present.
Vice Chair Graham could not make it today. Mr. Reimnitz.
Here.
Mr. Rooney could also not make it. Mr. Sweeney. Mr. Giuliano.
Here.
And Mr. Pierre is not here. Mr. Mixer.
Here.
Miss Floyd.
Here.
And Mr. Smolin.
Here.
Okay, thank you.
And just to note, our attorney is not present
Yes,
tonight.
Miss Bauer is also not present.
Okay. Next order of business is the approval of minutes from June 12th, 2025. Are there any addendum or corrections or comments? Okay, hearing none, Zinab, I just want to go to page 3, and the last paragraph where it says, well, I guess it's the second to last paragraph before the bullets. The commission encouraged revising the proposal with open fence design. Do you mean other fence designs?
I think I phrased that incorrectly, but like a visible, permeable, like instead of
Well,
a solid.
other, as opposed,
okay, yeah,
as
I'll do
opposed to
that.
fence. But otherwise, it's a masterful job. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion to accept the minutes with that one little correction for June 12th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We have no resolutions tonight, but we do have committee reports. So, the Design Review Committee's been busy this month. On July 15th, they met with the applicant and the attorney for the new house that's proposed on Irwin Park Plaza, on Irwin Park Road. And part of our review was that the HPC be able to review the plans on the house. So I know that the Design Review Committee met, and a letter was sent to the architect and the owner with, I think there were 3 or 4 comments. Do you have anything else to add? Okay. We did meet with, the Design Review Committee met before last meeting with the community, the head of community services about the renovations going on at Watchung Park, and we did make a few suggestions. And one of the things, and I just stopped there on the way here, is that we asked that the asphalt color for the paths be changed from black to a lighter gray color, which they've done, which is great. And the benches that they put in are more in keeping with sort of the traditional, with the scrolled arms and what looks like, yeah, which is good. I did have a question about the placement of the those really big trash containers, because somehow they have them right in the middle of like everything. So I'll put a call into Mr. Austin tomorrow. And then we have a new project. An Eagle Scout has proposed a sign, a historic sign for the park to be mounted in the park. And we will be meeting, the Design Review Committee will be meeting with him on Monday at 3 o'clock. And we're just going to go over the text and the mounting, that is proposed. But it looks like it'll be a good project. I think we should be in touch with them as far as the planting goes, because it looks like they've taken everything out of it except the trees. But so anyway, we'll meet with him and Mr. Ashley at 3:30 on Monday, July 28th. Minor applications, there's a few things that's happened there. On June 19th, minor applications committee met. 25-12 Sam's Table, 377 Bloomfield Avenue, was approved with conditions. The meeting on July 3rd, application 2025-13 D&P Parfumé at 324 Bloomfield Avenue was approved with conditions. On today, July 24th, 2025-15 was discussed, and that was approved as presented. That is Sardella at 571 Bloomfield Avenue. 2025-16, Skin and Brow at 547 Valley Road was approved as presented. And 2025-17, the Hummus Republic at 412 Bloomfield was approved with conditions. Moving on for grants, on July 15th, Zainab and I and Councilor Lockman met with Shannon Brennan, who is the representative from the New Jersey State Historic Trust concerning the grant that we've requested to have written a preservation plan for the first municipal building, which is now known as the police building, which is the only example of Beaux-Arts really in Montclair, and also designed by a very prominent architect, Otto Schmentz, who was responsible for the wind bracing at the Singer Building in New York, which unfortunately was taken down about 20 years ago. But we're hoping to get a grant, monies for that, to study the building and using preservation methods, be able to preserve the building, whether it's being used in its present form as the police headquarters or as a municipal building remains to be seen. That's based on what the council sees fit. But the long and short of it is they did do a conditions report. The last council authorized that. And the building, they say, is in very good shape, which you could understand being that it had such a prominent structural engineer building it. So probably be really hard to take it down. The CLG grant, we are in the process of meeting with our consultant for Phase 2 of the Upper Montclair Commuter District. We are meeting with our consultants on Monday at 2 o'clock. Just this week, the council approved the additional 92 properties that'll be included in that grant, which is a grant for a structural survey of the, I guess it's about 330 properties total now, correct? It's above
Yes,
300,
yes.
between 300 and 350.
That's correct.
But we asked for additional properties to be included because we asked that the Applegate Farms proposed district be included. So Applegate Farms, which is, the 19th century farm, and then all the infill that, goes up the hill to the west, which is really 1960s to 1970s housing, will be studied to be included in that grant. And we are waiting to hear in September, I believe, right, Zainab, for the next grant, which is a grant that Zena helped work on for the South End Business District and the South End Residential District. And that also will be a study of the historic structures down on the South End. And these grants are really beneficial because they deal into the history, the development of the neighborhood, of the area of Montclair, including the structures that are there, that have been built there. So we're looking forward to that. Public comment. Seeing no public here, I don't think we have a public comment, so I'll close that. We have no old business, and we move on to now new business. So, the new business, what?
I'm just trying to pass this.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
That's okay. Here you go.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Okay, so I will just introduce the application. It's application 2025-14, 605 to 607 Valley Road. It's an application for a certificate of appropriateness, and I will describe the property because it is located within the Upper Montclair Commercial Historic District. This is a local historic district and so there are more protections on the buildings that are located within that district. The subject property is located on the east side of Valley Road between Lorraine and Bellevue. The property currently contains 2 storefronts with Mercado to the south and the now closed Takara Asian Bistro to the north. The eastern street-facing portion of the structure contains 2 stories with office space on the second floor. The western portion of the building is 1 story with rooftop mechanical equipment above. Behind the building is a paved parking area with trash containers connected to the Upper Montclair Municipal Surface Parking Lot. The subject property is located in the Upper Montclair Historic District and is identified as a harmonizing altered building in the 206 nomination report. The building dates to the period of historic significance for the district, but has been significantly altered since. The brick building was constructed circa 1920 and altered circa 1998. The applicant is requesting a certificate of appropriateness to renovate the front, rear, and a portion of the northern side facade to facilitate the expansion of the Mercado storefront into the adjacent Takara Asian Bistro space. The Takara storefront will be renovated to match the existing Mercado storefront and will contain additional kitchen and dining area for Mercado. The following changes are proposed, and there are changes proposed for Valley Road, for the northern facade, and the northern facade. And quickly, I'll go over the existing glass and entrance will be removed and be replaced. New wood slats will be added above the glass panes. The existing black fabric awning beneath the Mercado signage will be extended north across the full width of the building. No changes are proposed to the second floor facade. The rear facade, those changes include 2 entrances on the southern side of the rear facade will remain. The 2 doors on the north side will be closed up and existing stucco will be extended across the openings. A new trash enclosure will be installed. The northern facade, which is really that alleyway between the 2 buildings, the glass panel and polished stone on the existing door along the northern facade will be removed and replaced with a new aluminum frame glass door. The wood slats and black awning will continue around the corner and stop above this door. A new 8 by 10 inch projecting sign will be installed to the east of the awning covered door. The existing mural and frame signage board will remain. A new aluminum and glass door will be installed to the east of the mural with an aluminum awning with signage above. And then another 8-inch by 10-inch projecting sign is proposed to the east of the new door. 2 decorative sconces will be installed on either side of the new door. 5 rows of new festoon lighting will be mounted on steel arms, which would be installed above the mural, 9 feet above the sidewalk. So, without further ado, the people who are going to speak to this application, if you would please approach and introduce yourselves.
Good evening, my name is
Thank you.
My name is Marcelo Silva. Just hit it once and then
It's like that? Oh, yeah. Marcelo Silva, owner of Mercado.
Thank you. And Mr. Sionis, are you going to testify as well? Okay. So if you 2 gentlemen would please raise your right hand. Is the testimony you're about to give the truth in the matter now pending before the commission?
Jess.
Yeah. Say yes. Okay, thank you. All right, so if you would walk us through, and I have a question. We received these plans with the application. Has this been changed? Have they been changed with what's on the?
The only things that may have been adjusted in the presentation that you'll see tonight would be feedback that we received
Yes.
with respect to that.
Okay.
Otherwise, everything remains the
So
same.
we should be referring to this.
That is correct, which is also
Okay.
affiliated
you.
with the slide presentation that show. I think
Yes.
it's a little bit more in-depth information as to the drawings you had previously.
Okay, much appreciated, thank you. So, do we have a pointer, or,
I do.
okay, great.
Perfect. Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be here this evening to present this application. Looking forward to hearing your feedback on this. Without any further delay, however, as you stated, this property is 605-607 Valley Road, and I'll proceed with the slides that we've prepared for you. Let's see. Okay, perfect. A lot of the information you gave in the introduction explaining the site is spot on. Sure. Okay. How is that? Okay, perfect. So 605, 607 Valley Road is, as you previously mentioned, a two-story structure, particularly on the Valley Road side, and it turns to a one-story structure on the rear of the building, which is about a third of the building back. For the purposes of this conversation, I'll say exposure one, which is Valley Road, is the western elevation of the building, and the frame of our work is along the, and this is Valley Road, along, let's get this pointer working. This is the Valley Road exposure here, exposure one. And exposure two would be referred to as the northern exposure, and exposure three would be referred to as the eastern exposure. Okay. What we're looking at now is just simply a site survey prepared by AFR Engineering, and it just validates the meets and bounds of the property. Particular note with the survey is that the exposure 2, which is the northern side of the site, the building actually sets back approximately 2.5, almost 3 feet from the property line. So the alleyway, which is indicated in a lot of the maps that we've seen from the city, indicated as being 8 feet, but in fact is actually a 12-foot wide alleyway. And I think that that's important to note. The building itself is approximately 65 by 112 112 in dimension, approximately 7,347 square feet. And as just mentioned, it is located on the southwest corner of Bellevue Avenue. And at the rear of the building, there are existing 7 parking spaces. And as we get further into our plan, you'll see that we've illustrated that so you can get a better idea of what that looks like. Okay, let's see if I can get this.
The other way.
Okay. For information purposes, and I guess to provide even just a little bit more clear context with the location, the map that we have here on the left side of the screen is just simply a copy of the existing tax map of the area. Our site is located here, which is sandwiched in between what is Bellevue Avenue here at the south of the site, and the northern side would be Lorraine Avenue at the north. And then this is just an aerial image that we extracted from Google, just so you can provide even a deeper context in what that looks like. I'll get this. Okay, also mentioned in your presentation in introducing this, the zoning of this site is in the neighborhood commercial zoning district, and our site is, for the purposes of this conversation, is located here, which is indicated in the purple, which is the NC district. Now, looking at the western elevation of the building, we wanted to show you what was previously there. Our client, Mercado, has already taken possession of the space on the opposite side, at the northern side of the property, and there is some demolition going on the inside, but this is the elevation of the previous restaurant that was there, and these images are somewhat dated. It's dated from 2019. No, mention that because in the next image, you'll see that the sign was removed. So everything else is pretty much intact with the store itself, except for the paper that's in the windows. On the north side of the building, there is some artwork that has been placed there, and it's our intent to keep that artwork. We're not planning to remove any of that at this point in time, even though, as I mentioned, it's 2 feet in, and on that property, it is public area, and the owners of the building has also stated that it's artwork that was prepared by, if I'm not mistaken, a group from Montclair State. So we'd like to keep that. We think it really looks nice on the side of the building, and it's definitely a part of the community as it is known today or seen today. The rear of the building, older photos again, on the larger image at least, you'll see that there's some signage that's here. This sign has been removed, but pretty much everything else has remained as is. This is the expanded space here, which is the north side of the property, and this is looking from the access way that leads to the Upper Montclair parking lot that's in that area. Now, the elevations that we've prepared really gives you a snapshot of what it is that we're looking to do, and it's pretty clear. What we have is an existing facade that has wood slots, a logo that is in place with the company name Mercado, and then there is straight glass facade. These are very low profile metal channels at the base and at the ceiling, and the glass are pretty much butt without any metal framing or anything of that nature to hold it together. So it's a very monolithic look with the front facade. And then just underneath this wood slotted area, we have a black fabric canopy or an awning that goes across. And I'll just back up 1 or 2 slides just so you can see what that looks like. This is essentially what's installed there now. It's a very simple frame, and it's stretched on these arms which extend out from the facade and creates a continuous canopy that goes across the face of the building. Here, you saw in the photos with the sign, it looks like there's some sort of stuccoed plywood or something that's adhered to the building here. And then there's a black painted metal area that's here that we would be removing and then extending the same treatment that we started along here all the way across, and then wrap around approximately 4 feet on the northern exposure side. And what you see here is just a glimpse of the festin lighting that's off in the northern elevation. Nothing else has been changed, no additional doors, no additional signage, nothing. The key is just to really keep this a nice, clean, monolithic facade. Currently, there is a noticeable difference if you go. Even though there is straight glass, the heights of the glass are just slightly different. And there's a stainless steel shoe that's along the bottom of this, which is about 6 inches high. I mention that because no matter what we do, that has to be removed because it's not secured to the structure itself. It's actually very loose down there. So part of our work is kind of reconciling some of the poorly constructed work that had happened previously. No work is being done on the second floor, and we're not adding any additional lighting as well on that elevation. This elevation, the northern elevation, or exposure 2, there's currently something that's really peculiar that was going on here, and not been able to identify what was there previously, but it looks as though there's a polished chrome metal frame. There's some polished granite or stone or something that kind of trims it, and then some sort of inlays and different elevational changes of the glass that's open there with a infill panel that's at the top. So it was very apparent, particularly when we're on the inside, you could see the steel headers, that this was at one time an entrance into this space. So we'd like to reactivate that as a part of our as a part of our proposal So that's what we're proposing over here, is reactivating that opening, and we're continuing it as being a glass point of entry with a aluminum frame. The aluminum frame will probably be something that's anodized, not painted, really nice, clean, simple frame. Black is what we're looking at. And as we move along here, you'll see that we have some festoon lighting here. Now, our drawings show 11 feet or so, but the key is we really need to adjust that, a little bit. I know that we suggested 9 feet in the presentation in our drawings. That's our intent, but we just wanted to make sure that whatever height that we establish, that it is safe for pedestrians to walk underneath without anyone having to engage it by either pulling up on it or walking into it. So I think it's going to be slightly lower than the 11 feet that was in the drawings. It's going to be closer to the 9 feet, but we'll be able to determine what that is once we develop that even more. We're also proposing a new entrance into the building from this side. This client believes that now that we're removing the doors that we have at the rear of the building on exposure 3, he needed to provide an accessible point of entry into the building that is convenient to the parking lot. So with use of the alley, we've provided him an accessible entrance at this point. And again, it would have the same articulation and finish as we're placing on this corner here. What is unique, however, is it will have a metal awning above it. And I'll illustrate what that is in just a few moments, but it's approximately 6 feet long, and it'll extend out about 2.5 to 3 feet above this opening. Again, it's just to prevent and allow people to collect and go under and in and out without getting wet during the rain. So it's not just a design feature, but it's very much a functional thing that we're looking to do. I failed to mention over here is where that blade sign that we were talking about, which is 8 inches by 10 inches, that'll be coming along this side here, which helps people easily identify that there is a secondary entrance from Valley Road and from exposure 3 or the rear of the building. The rear of the building, or exposure 3. Currently, there's a series of doors and glass windows. A sort of storefront, if you will, was embedded into the back of this building at this point. And based on the way that we are developing the interior, there's actually a kitchen expansion, and we're putting in more restrooms to accommodate the number of people that will be on the inside. So there was really no need in having these glass storefront entering directly into the food prep and cooking area. This current door serves as a point of entrance, the rear entrance into the building for customers currently. However, with the new configuration, we're now blocking that off on the inside and allow this to just be functional kitchen area without customers passing through it. And then this door leads straight into a vestibule, which takes you straight down to the lower level, the basement, where the client has his walk-in boxes and storage and some minor food prep area. Here you'll see on exposure 2, or the northern exposure, we've shown a canopy or that awning that extends out from here. This is that 3-foot extension in width, and it's 6 feet in length, as I mentioned. And then just beyond it, you'll see that blade sign, which is at the other door that is closest to Valley Avenue and the festoon lighting. We're removing the signage that is above the door here. I showed you that in one of the earlier pictures that we showed. And we're also going to remove this sign, which is tacked onto the building now, and creating a canopy here, similar to the canopy that we're putting on the side back here. The only difference is it's going to extend to cover from this door to this door, which equates to approximately 19.5 to 20 feet, and it's going to extend out approximately 3 feet. And we're placing just on the top edge of this cut out letters, 8 inches, about 8.5 to 8.25, 3/4 inches tall, stainless steel letters that'll be pinned in from the bottom side of the letters, into the canopy, just to properly identify the building from the rear. There are no other changes other than some miscellaneous old irrelevant signage that is being removed. And we've now incorporated an enclosed area to store his garbage containers. Previously, there were 2 containers that were rolled up and just placed against the rear of the building. And now, just meeting with city ordinances, we are creating a complete enclosure here where there's no visible sign of what's beyond it. He can secure it, and to give it a little bit less of a massive appearance, we've decided to increase the height along the masonry wall at the back and then slope it down toward the front to where it kind of slims the profile of it as it moves forward. So that's the intent there. Okay, now the rear of the building, and I'm glad you have this packet because it's difficult even for me to see our lines and drawings here, but you'll see that there's 7 parking spaces here. They were all 9 feet by 20 feet in depth. All of them have wheel stops except this one, which is directly in front of the container, and it allows the containers, trash containers to be rolled out and then retrieved by the garbage collection company and then rolled back in. So that's the only reason why there isn't a wheel stop here. And one of the signs that we're placing here is that there is no parking allowed at this spot during the times that he's allocated for pickup for rubbish. So there shouldn't be a problem with people parking there and creating a condition to where the garbage cannot be removed from the site. Then what you'll see are just some basic elevations of the design intent for the enclosure for the container storage area. These 2 images, again, just highlight the major elevational changes here, showing the extension of the Mercado facade along how it wraps. The same cloth awning, the doors, the same degree of transparency, the maintaining of the wall, the festoon lighting, the awning over the door, the blade sign, and the lighting that was on this wall prior, we're removing. So we're cleaning up this wall. We're not making any other alterations or penetrations outside of the door that I mentioned previously. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now our commissioners will ask you questions, and then we'll hear from Mr. Smollett and his comments and what's been changed since you've received them, and then we'll open up a discussion amongst ourselves, okay? So, Mr. Bixer.
No questions from me, thank you.
Oh, Mr. Giuliani.
I have no questions at this time either.
Mr. Sweeney?
The questions are the historical use of the building. In the lower level, the retail level, has there traditionally been 2 shops there?
Yes.
So that's been historical, okay. And second, is there a reason why you would have to remove the door in the front on the south portion of the west face?
The front door?
That was at the face of where the sushi restaurant, there was a door. I'm talking about, the facade.
It has to do more with the aesthetics of the inside. We're combining out the 2 spaces, and there's a difference on the step, on the floor level. So now we're building a ramp, and the door kind of gets on the way. So in order to maneuver through that, we're moving the door to the corner because there's like a 8-inch level difference between one space and the other.
So functionally, the door would not work if you
Yeah, that's the
adjusted it.
reason.
I'll go further. On the interior existing in that
So I'm
area.
looking at the door was a separation, so it didn't have this massive linear space of all glass.
I'll go further if I may in responding to that. And another reason why that door must be removed is because of the elevational change. In order to provide an accessible entrance into the space,
Right.
the floor was carved out at that area, and it was a
Right.
really awkward
And-
carving of the floor.
I don't think it was by code, actually.
Yeah, it still didn't meet accessibility code requirements. So the only way to really mitigate that was to provide the accessible entrance from the side, and that's one of the reasons why we're reactivating the side entrances, because the floor level and the sidewalk level are so different. There's literally a step up of approximately 4.5 to 5 inches.
So the door can't remain, but is there any reason that has to be a window there?
A window?
Yeah, in other words, potentially in the future, the building may go back to two different shops. So my question is directed at whether that area could be preserved for a future door, not used as a door now, but used as a future door. Maybe you put in something that's
As it is glass, as it is.
It's
just
what?
it is a glass door, but it's also glass, as it is. It's almost like a window, as it is. There's no wall, right?
Yeah, there is no physical opaque barrier there. It's just a continuation of the glass from the existing Mercado storefront, and it's just extending. I do understand what you're saying, though. It seems as though you're looking to, and I think it's a great question, whether or not if there was a way to have established another storefront to break up the long run of glass and storefront. And that is something that we did not consider. We can certainly talk with our client and see whether or not if that's something that he could consider. But there's, even if, it's a good idea. We can certainly.
I'm just asking because
Yeah.
If I may add, when I first came here for the Mercado facade, I sat before this board, and they wanted me to change Mercado's to meet the same look as Mercado. And we had a little bit of back and forth because I don't own that restaurant at the time, so I couldn't make it look uniform. So this time I just assumed that's what the board would like us to do. So I just like, let's make it look the same. So, that was one of also the approaches.
So let me just ask what the final relative to that issue. In the picture, I'm looking at the old pictures.
Yeah.
This black vertical, what is that? That's to the.
That's just a small little space.
That separates the
like a
Mercado
tile,
from
yeah.
the sushi restaurant?
It is like a piece of tile, I think. It's like a little tile in between the two spaces.
It's not
That-
structural?
I mean, it's not structural, but we could leave that in if that's the.
I can explain a little bit more about what that is. The storefront is set back at that point. There is a structural steel beam or column that is literally maybe 5 or 6 inches behind the glass. And what the previous, I guess, storefront, or what they did there is they verted out, and then they covered it to create a very distinct change to match what was going on the opposite side or the opposite corner of the building to create a very unique and separate storefront. So what you're seeing is this is actually not a solid wall other than a false wall that was built to create that illusion to match this. But once this comes out, you'll see that there's a column or steel beam that's literally inches.
Immediately in
back.
back?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's,
Yeah, so
okay,
it's not
let's
a
sum
part
it
of
up.
the natural
You
storefront.
could leave some kind of
course.
separator
Yes,
there.
of course, yeah.
Yeah, we
whether
could rebuild
decorative
something.
or
For sure,
whatever.
yeah.
So- Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Most of my questions, what is that door just off of the alleyway there in the corner? What is it for?
It is to be used as a entrance as well.
Entrance into.
Entrance and exit from the
Okay,
store, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure that we're covered with egress from the store with the number of people that are inside the space.
Do those doors on that alleyway open in or out?
Good question. In our floor plan, they push out, however, we recess them to where they push out and not impact
And
the
they
public way.
They comply?
That is
then,
correct.
okay. Looking at one of the site plans here, it looks like the property extends a foot or two into the alley. Is that what I'm reading?
Actually, the alley is about 2 feet onto the property.
Was
The
that-
alley, for example, if you go to the township tax maps and all of the land maps and zoning, and what happens is the alleyway is actually 8 feet wide. But really, it's not, because 2 feet of that or 3 feet of that is actual property, this property's.
That belongs, so that
It
is
belongs
true.
to that
So
property.
it
That
belongs
is
to that
correct.
building, okay.
Yes.
Until that's
Questions.
Just
What's
on
the
the lower.
status of that mural in the alleyway? What is that, how's that,
Pardon?
who's in charge of that mural in the alleyway? Is that
Well-
the town? Is that,
We believe that it was a public-provided piece of art. We don't know where it came from.
Okay.
Paul, do
Okay.
you remember?
Yeah, the town's responsible for it. The town had a commission to look at artwork within the town, and they hired a group from Montclair State to provide artwork around town.
I asked the landlord, he doesn't know.
Yeah, the landlord doesn't know anything about it. but-
It was just placed on his building.
So, and to John's point, I just have a question. Was that approved by us, that mural?
It's been there for a while.
I know it's been there for a while, but
I couldn't find anything in our records.
Right,
So I'm not sure.
okay. Do you know how long it's been there?
I'm not sure, before me.
I think about
15,
15 minutes.
are you
20?
talking about the mural location or the mural itself?
The mural itself. This,
It
that's
looks
in
like
the
it was
alley.
in-
Yeah, I understand that, but are you talking about someone installed a mural here, no matter what it looks like? Or are you talking about what it
I'm talking about
looks-
whether that was approved.
What it looks like?
Right, yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
That was just, it was a question as to what.
Let's see if I have any other questions. Oh, yeah, what's the use upstairs? It looks like it's some sort of WeWork kind of space?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what I'm understanding?
Partially, it's that.
Uh-huh. And so that the lights, the little lights you have in the alleyway that go above the windows on the second floor, that's not an issue with the tenant or the landlord?
Not known to us at this point in time. I don't know. I don't think that we've consulted the tenant itself, but
Has the landlord seen these drawings and approved?
I don't think that we've shared these drawings yet with the landlord.
With the landlord, okay, got it.
He's pretty open and looking for us to.
The rest of what I have are comments, not questions, so that's it.
I have a question about the door that you described on the corner. Is that any historic fabric on that, or, no, that was part of the renovation with 1998?
Yeah, it looks like it's left over from an old,
Diner?
basically.
Okay,
It literally
At
looks
some
like a
point,
diner door.
That used to be a video store, was a liquor store,
right.
and so when they built that restaurant, they covered that up with that glass kind of material.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was any historic material from there,
gosh,
but does
no.
it, I
No,
mean,
no.
stylistically, it doesn't look like it,
No,
but,
it's like
It's not
glass and
there.
has a
Yeah.
thing glued on it.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not.
All right, and then my
Anything
other
significant.
question is about the wood that you're going to place and keeping with the, the existing wood. The existing wood, which I think is a nice surface, but it's become quite discolored.
Yeah, well, actually, we tend to not use real wood and replace that one with a more aesthetic looking wood that is.
What do you mean?
Because it's like dark, it's getting
Change
damaged.
color.
No, it's changed color. So you're
Yeah.
replacing, you're not using, do you have that on here? You're not using real wood, you're using,
It's my impression that we are taking the same material and carrying it straight across, so.
I would, maybe something I missed, because of the always getting discolored, and it's not, the weather, it takes a toll on the wood. I was hoping to, now we can find not real wood that looks pretty.
Right. But currently, it's real wood.
It's a white oak.
It's white oak. Isn't there a way you could sand that down and take off?
Yeah,
the
we'd have to do it every 9 months.
9 months. How long has that been up there?
3 years, 3.5 years.
Oh, it's only 3 years?
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do to prevent that?
I mean,
type
it
of-
will require a lot of maintenance.
Okay,
It's the weather.
yeah. So what is the material? Did you call out material on this schematic?
They say wood in the drawings.
Yeah,
I think.
I'd just be careful with that. I think that's something that we would.
Okay.
And then my other question is the awning. It looks as though there's a seam over the, is it one, can you
No,
even make an
I know
awning that
exactly
long?
what you're talking about, where the connection is.
Yeah.
No. That's just a part of our graphic rendition of what is taking place there. I'm pretty certain that if there is a seam, it's not going to be anything like what you see there. It seems very pronounced. I just want to make sure, you're talking about this seam here. That's just the
Right.
boundary of what is old and what is new. That's not.
So you're proposing a continuous awning?
This is
One
gonna
very,
be
very
one
long
uniform,
awning?
Yes,
Right, that's fabric, right?
it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fabric that comes around the corner. But you don't roll it up?
No,
It's permanent?
It's
Permanent,
fixed.
yeah.
Okay, and then I had a question about the parking in the back, where the parking is, because now people pull right up to the building, and sometimes people park behind, so you get 2 parking spots. So, are you proposing any ballards or anything at the same level as the trash enclosure, so that you can actually walk around to get into the?
Yeah, we want to create just enough space for the cars, and the rest will be a walk.
But how are you
between
going to prevent cars from pulling up?
Easy. We have wheel stops here.
That's what you
That's
call
right.
them, wheel stops, okay.
We have wheel stops here, and we're stopping the tandem parking along that area. The only place that doesn't have a wheel stop, again, would be the area directly in front of the container, and there's no way to move forward at that point anyway, because the enclosure for the containers would stop that. So we definitely have a path. In fact, we're even talking about not only creating this path in this direction, but maybe even down the road adding some planters or something like that.
Well, it would be nice to maybe put an herb garden back there or
Yeah.
something, that you could actually say that you use them.
Yeah.
I love your restaurant, I go there all
Oh,
the
thank
time,
you.
but that you can actually use.
Many times my wife has been asking for the garden. She
And
wants to
then-
put it up.
No, it'll soften it. It'll
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
And then, are you planning to put tables and chairs in the public alleyway? I don't know if Loop or Lubis, I don't know what it's called now, somebody had tables there at one point.
I think the diner takes
Right.
advantage of the space.
Right.
I'm not sure if they have permits for it or not.
That's my question,
I
'cause
don't
you're
know
gonna
how
have
much I
competing,
can
it's-
use, how much space am I allowed to use. So
But are
the-
you planning on putting?
I would love to, but that's a matter of talking to the health department about.
With everything in the sidewalks now, you can barely walk down,
Yeah.
and that is a very contained area. So that was my question.
Yeah, I would-
And we should probably ask whether by ordinance they're allowed to do that if it's not the front of the building. Do you know?
I did the same thing, I couldn't find it.
Oh.
It's just a consideration.
I would
It's
love to
crap.
do it, and if we're considering it, we'll talk to the health department. They're the ones that manage the seating and spaces for the outdoors.
Right.
But that's on.
And then if you're proposing those string lights, or I don't know, festoon lights, why do you need the wall sconces on either side of the door? Is that just for
That's-
definition, or?
That's a great point. It's just to really assign that you've arrived. This is the point of entry into the
Right.
space. We think it's very important in identifying what that is.
And there's
Chris-
another one proposed by the corner door.
That is correct, another point of entry.
Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions.
You're welcome.
Sina?
Okay, so I do have a couple of questions in reference to the alleyway. So this door with the circle, with the, on the side, that's strictly for guests to come in? Are you doing delivery through that door as well?
The one towards the rear?
Yeah, next to the mural?
new door.
So
The new door?
since we taken away the door entry through the rear as we have now, we are changing the layout inside in a way that becomes, for the customers that come to pick up food, don't have to interact with the people that are placing orders, because sometimes it gets a little confusing. So we're trying to change the layout so the pickups and deliveries become a separate kind of entry.
Well, I actually mean the deliveries from your vendors.
Oh, no, that's strictly the,
Is that the back?
all the way in the back, that, can you point that out?
Okay.
Sure.
Just wasn't sure which ones were just back, exit egresses to the outside, or?
Over here is where he receives deliveries.
Okay,
Not that
Okay.
one, the other one, the little one, not the other one. Yeah, right there.
okay.
That has a sign, Mercado deliveries, so all the deliveries come through that door. It
Perfect.
goes straight to the basement.
Okay. And so then, on this, the windows on the side alley for the second floor, there looks like there was something removed, or it's like a little lighter color. It just, I mean, this, you have a potential of having a beautiful alleyway here, and I was just looking at this top of the window. Is that,
No, unfortunately, the building has been in a great amount of disrepair over the years. And what you're seeing is
I know that it.
very bad repair work over the years,
Yeah.
to where the masonry units are somewhat bulging out a little bit, and the cementatious material that they use for bonding is just all over the
Yes,
place.
the landlord
Yeah.
being too cheap to repair the building. He put some sort of clear
Right.
thing about some water damage that he tries to.
We didn't approve
Yeah.
that, so.
I mean, it's the one area where it's like the original brick, and it's like,
Yeah.
But then, okay, so then the other question I have is the lighting. What is the material for the lighting over the mural,
The festoon lighting?
Yes, is it?
Okay, yeah, we have a description here, and I'll just read it exactly as we have it written, so I do not misquote that to you. Bear with me. Okay. Okay, they are 2-inch square steel arms. And it's creating a kind of half diamond pattern, so they're welded at the ends. And then there are brackets that's mounted on the wall, and then there's light, string light kind of fixtures that's attached to it to allow for illumination.
Okay, and so it being mounted, is it being mounted directly onto the brick?
It is.
Okay. And my last question is this mural. It looks like that extra piece of wood is because maybe if it had to be taken down, it wouldn't be as challenging. Is that why this just piece of?
I think there used to be an existing mirror, and then they came with a different mirror and just
Okay,
put it
okay.
over.
Yeah, it looks like they painted another mural on plywood,
Okay.
and then they
Premise.
came in and supported,
Yeah.
they used the support that was there previously and just secured
Okay.
it to
It
that.
looks like that the existing mirror was done off premise, and they just came with it.
Oh, and popped it on, okay. Yeah, because the alleyway is beautiful, and to your question in reference to, I think that the requirement is that you have to have 6 feet for people to be able to walk through, but you own this side of the alleyway, right?
portion
So
of
like,
it.
Well, they
right,
don't own all of it.
well, the portion of it, but I think
And it's
that.
a 12-foot wide alleyway. opening.
Right.
Just that the only concern is if the diner does it, there's not enough space for us to do it.
Right.
It can, both of us can have tables outside.
Mhm.
That's the only concern,
Okay,
to allow the 6 feet.
Well, you might be able to, I mean, if you use 2-foot tables.
right, 2
and
seaters
you
on the
seat
outside,
face to
line up
face
against the wall.
As opposed to
Yeah.
into the alley, you certainly have enough clearance to allow that to work and maintain, at minimum, 6-foot alleyway in the middle.
Yeah, okay.
So
That's my
that
question.
extra piece of wood that's next to the mural, that's painted like that reddish color, you identified that somewhere, I think, as a signboard? Are you using that as a signboard, or what?
I'm sorry, repeat that, please?
This
That
little
extra piece that Zena was just speaking about, that
Yeah,
looks
because
as...
that's what, it just seems like what it was originally. We don't know.
But for signage, are you going to come...
We are not placing signage there, no.
Because I think I saw that it said signboard somewhere in one of these, in one of
It
the...
just
drawings.
said frame signage board, but we're not placing any signage there. That's not a part of our
has a
design.
There is a reference.
That's
that says,
existing.
See detail 4A-004. And I couldn't find where that is.
We don't have a, see, that's definitely something that is not,
I'm looking at A.
no, I'm looking at the same thing too.
803.
Yes. We're not placing any signage on that wall. We've never even written one, so I
That's
do
just an
apologize.
incorrect note there.
I apologize, but that note should not be there.
Well, can that board be removed?
We would
I'm
love it
sure,
to.
yeah. I mean, the extra, yeah.
We're
I'm
just
sure we
afraid
can
to
do it.
touch, of touching the sign, because it's, it seems as though it's something that
No,
the
but we
city
can cut this
its
off.
hand in,
We can
so.
cut this off the sides there.
Don't you think it's separate from the mural?
It looks like it kind of goes underneath it. That's
Yeah.
a part of what
keep-
is there
keeps
that
going.
the mural is attached to.
Oh, I see, so they put something on top of it.
Correct.
So I would suggest that that be removed.
We
will
could
remove-
easily cut
We'll
it.
amend our drawing and remove that language to
Mhm.
start. And if you are suggesting that we remove that portion of that,
Yeah.
let's just take a look. Is it, this is the board that you're talking about?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm going to zoom in so we can all see it.
I have a
They kind of
question.
painted
Is this,
like brick color.
this is a changing mural
You see there?
going on, right? This is not the mural that's going to be there forever.
I don't think it's gonna
It's a
last
space
forever.
where people come in and do different things,
but-
right?
We just don't know who's in charge of it.
Yeah,
Who did it,
nobody's in
who-
Because
charge
I've
of it.
seen different,
It's on your
no, but I've
building.
seen different things on that wall, so that maybe that signboard should remain for the next person who has a mural and
Yeah.
does it to that size. So
Well, they
I
could do
think
it
it's
a
a
smaller
change.
size.
What?
They could do a smaller mural.
I mean,
I think it would look...
Because it's there now?
Right.
But it's going to change 4 months from now.
I would love to commission a different mirror and come up
Have
with
you
something different.
contacted the Upper Montclair Business District? Are they in charge of it?
I haven't, but
I'll put you in contact with our economic development director, who's overseeing some of the mural projects, so,
I would love that.
yeah.
So just for clarification purposes, because this is, again, something that we haven't really focused in on and touching in, as a part of our purview, so to speak, it sounds like you're about to frame a recommendation that we engage the city to modify this sign to do what? To
Modify
keep
the
other
mural
people
or the
from-
sign?
The mural.
Right.
Yeah, to limit the size and/or the use of that in the future for murals, or
That would be a
to-
great idea.
is that the intent?
You know, just make,
wanna sure I
just,
understand.
and make it
Clean it
regular
up.
in the future.
Right.
But I don't know
Yeah.
who's in charge
Yeah,
of this
right.
mural. But, if you could define it so the next person who comes in works to that, and the
Okay.
next person comes in works to that dimension. Looks like they just pasted something
Do you
up.
know how
there.
difficult it is to work with an artist and tell him how big of a canvas he's got to work
Well,
on?
I think that
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
just
well,
take
they-
off
you
that
know.
sign, just that piece, if you just take off, because they have this all over Montclair, if you just take off that piece of ugly wood that's there and it's not doing anything, the size in itself is pretty decent as it is, even if they do another look to it.
I agree with you. The
Yeah.
only thing that I'm concerned about is that if we touch
brick.
that and cut it, and the way that that thing is supported, we
Yeah.
don't know whether or not if that will impact the integrity of what's
Yeah.
left.
I think so too.
I think you
so
really
You
need
have
to find out...
Explore it a little bit. I
Yeah.
bet you can figure it out.
Right,
Yeah.
I don't, I think you just have to figure out who has the authority
Okay.
to,
Whatever.
yeah. I think that'll be one of the,
I have another
For
question.
Sure.
the question,
Uh, Go ahead.
may I ask a question to Zineb? So the group that in Montclair that is responsible for overseeing the murals in Upper Montclair, would they also be willing to assist in modifying that?
I'm
to-
sure they would. I have to find out who that is, and then I think Daniel White, our economic development coordinator, he's been working on, just investigating
Okay.
and studying the murals and seeing what we could do, so I will connect you both.
Okay, that would be great, because I also don't want to be responsible for.
Yes, no,
an
I
artist
totally
telling me,
understand,
"You
yeah."
ruined my concept."
We come up.
You know, or, I just want to make sure that we do this where everyone is happy. Okay.
And I have another question about lighting in the front. Where do you propose lighting? There just seems to be one over, is there lighting under the awnings now? Where is the lighting?
We don't have any lighting in the front right now.
Table lighting.
Yeah, there's street lighting there that's quite nice.
That's
actually.
significant?
If we were to put something underneath that, it would actually create a contrast and make it not look as,
Right. No, I
Pleasant,
don't, I
yeah.
don't recall when I pass it at night that it looks like it's dark. I just
Yeah.
wondered, like, now looking at this in the lighting, because lighting is something that we have to approve as well.
Mhm.
And there's only one, it looks like one existing aluminum trim light over that door. Your neighbor at
over which door are you referring to? please?
605 that goes to the second floor?
Yes, it's some sort of gooseneck kind of thing that's
Right.
there.
Which has nothing to do with your facade?
No, that's the landlord's entry to his upstairs tenants.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the lighting in the alleyway, the new bulb lights. Who controls that lighting?
It will be
Are
me.
you turning it on and off?
Will be a sensor or timer or a sensor light.
Is it only going to be on, are there days that you don't operate,
We open 7 days a week.
7 days a
Yeah.
week? I'm sorry.
We are.
Okay.
But we'll be in a sensor, like I have all the other lights on the outside. It's, if it gets dark, the lights come on, and as the daylight comes, the lights shut off.
And I have one more question. I might have misheard what you were saying, but the back on the trash enclosure, did you mention letters for signs somewhere that?
We have signage that will be placed there regarding parking.
Right.
And the language for that is also in the presentation that we give. Is that what you're talking about?
I couldn't hear what you said. You said that, I thought you were talking about the way they were going to be mounted.
Okay, yes. I do know what you're talking about now. Let's see if I can show this in a better way. What could I do? Okay. Here. These will be pin-mounted letters on top of this awning. And it just simply says Mercado. And it's facing the park, it's just above their entryway at the rear, just near their 7 parking spots, the access way into the municipal parking, and that's.
Well,
that's
that's the existing entrance, correct?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, it's the existing entrance.
Existing entrance, yes.
And then you're proposing an awning over that,
Yes,
which is a metal, what is that, metal?
yes.
Aluminum,
It is aluminum, and, hold on just a second. I should have. I do hope that,
Yeah, remove the lights on top.
There it is.
Okay. Mm.
Yeah, remove those 2 lights.
Oh, here, proposed aluminum awning. Okay, with 8.5-inch lettering above. That's the pin-mounted lettering?
That is
Is
correct.
Is that halo lit, or is that no illumination?
Pardon?
No illumination.
No illumination.
No illumination from behind, because that's what we're seeing now, are all these pin-mounted halo lit signs.
Are we approving signage?
Well, that's going to be my next question. So are you here to approve the signage? Because we usually do that separate.
Um,
No.
Do we have enough information to you to look at it tonight, or would you prefer that we come back? I mean, we're at,
Here's what we usually see. We'll usually see the actual sign, how it's fabricated.
Okay.
How it's.
So we may have to come back
what
for
it's
that,
made
yeah.
out of.
Sure.
Pin letters don't mean anything.
Yeah.
You can see it. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Plastic.
okay. And just for my purposes and my unfamiliarity with your process, and I'm trying to navigate around that, is that something that we could submit to you and it is an administrative decision process, is without having a public hearing to go
Yes,
through
exactly.
the approval process?
We review sign applications.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We will give you whatever it is that you'd like.
Virtually online. so-
Yeah,
Okay.
you could just send me an email and we'll review it and
Wonderful.
let you know. Yeah.
We'll do so.
So should we include signage and
Last
lighting?
time, the sign
Which
guy
is what we
submitted.
know.
For in the future.
But for this project, signage and lighting, we have signage that we've agreed to look at in design review, and then the lighting,
Well, they should come with an application, right, like all the applications.
So we can review both the lighting and signage at our minor application.
a minor application for, with committee as opposed to this public
So
hearing.
just any more details on the lighting
Perfect.
material.
We'll give you a
and- yeah.
complete package.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
You're
I-
welcome.
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
What is the reason for the bulb lighting in the alleyway?
The festoon lighting?
Yes.
We thought that it would create atmosphere that would be appropriate not only for the diners, for either Mercado or the diner, but even the pedestrians walking through.
Mhm.
We thought that it would give the space a very interesting look and feel.
Mhm,
If you
mhm.
go there now, there's some string lighting that is kind of strung up along the diner
Not-
side.
not
and-
anymore.
Oh, they
Yeah.
removed it? Okay. That's a recent change, but there was lighting that was just haphazardly hung by the diner that's there, and we thought that this would provide some structure, something that was designed with intention,
Hmm.
and really give
Well,
that
it's a nice
space
place
a
to
very
eat
unique
right
look and
there.
feel.
Right. Yeah, no, I think the festoon lighting, I think at one point there was lighting, there were lights
I
strung
guess
between the
lights.
two
Yeah,
buildings.
they're
I guess
gone.
I wonder what happens when the diner side wants to do something similar. Is there like a battle of lighting? in
Well, they have
the
to
Well-
figure out
alleyway?
what's theirs and what's Ricardo's, you know. as
What's
far as
that?
They'd have to figure out, like, who has the right to take the space to do it.
I'm not sure they have the right to.
Well, the township, though, would have to figure that
Yeah.
out with the lighting, right?
What?
With the lighting, like if the lighting of the diner wanted to do something and they did, I think it would have to determine like how much space it's taking. I mean, never mind. This is-
Hopefully they can benefit from that lighting and it serves both.
I think it
Serve
will
both,
be
yeah.
a very, I mean, and of course, we designed this, and, we as architects think that when we design things, it's for the betterment of other people and can't take other people's opinions about how it looks and feel and impact other people. But I honestly feel that this will be a added value to the alleyway.
Mhm.
I like it.
And we certainly will sit and chat with anyone to discuss that openly if you believe that, there's
I mean,
deeper conversation that need to be had about that.
Well, you'll have the opportunity in committee, so. So are there any other questions from our commissioners? No? So, Mr. Smolin, can you fill us in on your comments, please?
Sure. Just to touch on the mural topic that came up, if you go to Montclair State's website, you can see the current mural was put in June 2012.
Yeah, it's
So
old.
it's about 15 years old. And I'd be careful making any recommendations that they do anything with that mural, because if the landlord didn't do it as a work for hire and it's some sort of artistic work, it could get very complicated in terms of modifying it.
But not just taking off that piece of wood that has no relationship to the existing mural. Is that,
I
No.
d- I doubt, I would doubt that the wood is just attached to like nice brick behind. I think it might be covering an opening or something. I think if they could have taken it down 15 years ago, they might have.
There's no opening. It's just, I think it was an existing mirror before, and they came with those boards
Uh-huh.
And then
that
covered
didn't
it.
meet the same size.
with a
Yeah.
mural that was smaller and
Yeah.
just slapped it up on top of it?
Yeah, there was a canvas mural, it says back in November 2010, which, no surprise, blew off in Hurricane Sandy. But there's a whole website dedicated to it, so
Okay.
To the mural.
From,
To the mural. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you
Wow.
find that?
So it's certainly something you could like encourage them to do, but it may be more complicated than it sounds.
Well,
I guess we
it seems
need
like
to-
there's an opportunity to have some synergy. The users, want to do something good here, it works both,
Yeah.
get them to work
Certainly.
together.
Okay, so just to transition to my report, did you receive a copy of the July 17th?
We did, thank you.
Great. So we're dealing with a 2-story, 8-bay commercial building. It is altered, so it's not a contributing property to the historic district, but it's classified as just harmonizing. The good news about what we're talking about tonight is it does not seem that any visible historic fabric is being altered or removed. They're effectively altering a very recently constructed storefront, and it doesn't seem like anything of, in the character-defining historic element categories getting touched here. It's the existing storefront that's being modified is an all-glass storefront, and what's effectively being put in is another all-glass storefront that is now unifying the design with the existing Mercado storefront to the south. Is the glass that's being used, well, tell me about the existing glass, maybe on Mercado, and I assume you're matching that, right? Is it just laminated glass? Does it have a coating? Is it reflective?
It's not reflective, it's clear.
Okay.
It has no tinting or color. It's just a very clear glass.
And it's just laminated, it's not an
Laminated
IGO?
glass, yeah.
Okay. So it'll appear somewhat dark, I would say, given that it doesn't have a coating, given that it's not an IGU, it's not going to be very reflective, so you will see into the space. And within the about 55, 60 feet of frontage that Mercado has, is it all just dining space behind the storefront, or are different things happening?
That's correct. There's no service or utility space that's going to be exposed to the glass.
And it's all open dining behind?
It is 100% open dining,
Okay.
visible from the glass.
So the thing about the application, given that there's no historic fabric, is that we're looking at it for really compatibility with the broader historic district in terms of materials, scale, proportion, and at the end of the day, the result here is a very large, expansive glass. It's essentially what you have today. It now just happens to kind of all be unified as part of this whole 605, 607 Valley Road building. So I think the HPC should deliberate on that and discuss the merits of an all-glass, very minimalist facade here, because it's not, I don't think, anything you could point to within the Upper Montclair Historic District as occurring in this, 55, 60 feet of width anywhere in that frontage along Valley Road. Overall, though, I think that the removal of the existing storefront from the building on the north is a positive contribution to the streetscape. It's just whether or not, again, this quantity of glass is appropriate on the Valley Road frontage or not.
But, Mr. Smolin, can't that be reversed if a...
Oh, yeah, totally.
Right.
Everything is reversible
I think I would
here.
look at it as that if somebody came in, and to your point, and wanted to put in a more traditional storefront, that glass can be removed and reversed.
Easily.
It's extremely easy to reverse, yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make that point. All right, well, we'll open it up for discussion. Mr. Mixer,
Nothing from me at this time, thank you.
Mr. Giuliano?
I'm overall pretty supportive of it. I mean, I don't have any issue with the linearity of the glass facade, given that the building above, the brick and the window pattern is so monolithic itself. If it was two different kind of brick buildings or any kind of infill building and we were taking a monolithic storefront and putting it across, I feel like it would look a little obtrusive, but I think this actually goes pretty well with the second floor rhythm of the existing masonry building. I like the awning coming around to the side too. I feel like it gives the building a little bit more three-dimensional quality from the street rather than just, what you see on the street face and then the side wall is just ignored. I like how it's kind of coming around in this new design. I think it activates the alley in a nice way. And if you could figure out a way to get some seating out there, it's a great space, especially with the mural and the lighting on the mural, and it's got actual nice brick pavers on the floor. It's it's pretty good starting point. So now that the awning kind of leads you even into that space a little bit more from the street. So overall, I think it's pretty strong and it could add some nice character to the building. I don't know what you would do anyway if you were trying to differentiate your storefronts just for the sake of differentiating them. If you've got kind of the same program happening beyond it, I don't see any issue with the design as is.
Thank you.
Mr. Sweeney?
There've been so many changes on that retail facade that I don't think there's much historic character left. However, the overall design, keeping a sense of separation, either you're not going to have a door, so we don't need the door, but keeping some kind of separation, even a column that's in front of that structural beam that's inside there, so that it somewhat breaks it up. It doesn't look like a huge expanse of glass, which seems out of character with the other buildings in the area. So I generally support it. I think everything it's an improvement, but I think to be more consistent with the historical character of the storefronts in the area, and then it should have some kind of separation. Approximately where the door, where the transom is of the current door.
Thank you.
Stephen's comments about this expanse of glass was the first thing I reacted to when I looked at these plans. And I've sort of gone back, and it's certainly an improvement over what's there. Let's start with that. So what you've done is, is an improvement. I think, do you perceive it really? If we change materials on the storefront to the right a little bit, do you really, but you have this thing running all the way across, do you really does the rhythm of the street change that much?
Because there's already a strong horizontal.
No, so I'm sort of back to, it's an improvement over what's there, and I don't, the only comment I would have, but we're not looking at it, is the blade sign you're showing at 7'9" off the ground. It's minimum 8 feet, I think, to the underside, so it's a code thing. Yeah, great.
Thank you.
I don't have any more I don't have
Thank you.
comments.
Thank you.
Those are ruminations, and I came back around to,
Ms. Floyd?
No questions.
No comments.
I'm sorry, no comments.
No comments?
I did just want to ask Steve, though, just out of curiosity, like, what would they do? I mean, I like the clean line. I like the style of everything flowing through, but based on our purpose, like, do you have any recommendations that would?
It's tough because there's not really, other than maybe Williams-Sonoma, any other tenant
Yeah.
up there that has more than 50 feet of frontage. And the expansive glass is one thing. It's like the rhythm of the street as you walk down Valley and you're hitting a door every 10 or 12 feet, or the opportunity to go into a recessed door. And inherently, it's a restaurant. There's one door from the main street. It happens to be all the way to the side. And once you pass that door, until you get to the diner in 75 feet, it's kind of just flat.
So
I don't know what else really they could do, though, because a restaurant inherently cannot have people coming in from 3 or 4 different places. I doubt they want to set the storefront into their space,
You're going to
changing
have two
the.
entrances though, right? Is that what I-
Pardon?
What?
I didn't quite hear you, pardon?
You're going to have two
Three.
entrances?
Three entrances.
Three.
Into the restaurant itself?
I can't hear you.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry. What was the question?
2 entrances.
We're going to have three
You're gonna have-
entrances into the
Yes,
space, right?
yes.
Okay.
One from Valley and then 2 from the alley.
Oh, the other one's for the restaurant too?
Yeah, in the alley.
This one, both of these are for the dining room area?
So your main entrance is only
Yes.
one, right? And then the side door for the
No,
delivery and
no, no.
pickup?
So we're trying to
There's one,
have maybe
two,
a dual concept
back.
There's only two
inside.
entrances.
Yeah.
So
Here.
Mercado,
Into the dining
and then
here.
the new
Oh,
space will have
that's
a different dinner
existing.
menu.
Coming and
Okay,
going.
gotcha.
How does it
So
feel? You know, these are
people
all-
don't
those
have
are
to come
all
in
service
to Mercado
stores.
side for the other
No, it's just-
experience.
it just
They
doesn't
just come
make
through the Hollywood.
Okay.
That's the main
And there's no
reason.
way of moving that, or not moving, but leaving the side door and just maybe putting another entrance into the front?
Into the front?
Like,
We talked about how the issues are because of the
Oh, because of the
ADA.
out-
Yeah,
okay,
there's a
right, okay,
major
okay.
floor difference.
Now I'm connecting, okay.
Between the existing Mercado space and the space that he recently acquired to expand into. There's a huge difference.
If I may add, the only, I was the one more adamant that keeping the glass all the same because
because of before, right?
before, they wanted to create the look so uniform, and they basically were trying me to actually pay for the
Right,
the
right.
renovation of the other space. To me, my first inclination, I wanted to do like French doors, kind of on the new space, and leave Mercado as is. So in the summer, I could open the doors and stuff like that, but I didn't think that the board
Yes.
would like that.
I think that's great.
I think it's beautiful.
I don't think you guys would go for it, so I didn't entertain that.
There's also something to be said about the way he's activated the space in front of his existing store.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah,
with the-
so it
with
really
the-
breaks up that linear glass front because he has umbrellas and he has a platform and some outdoor dining there.
Well, that was
That's
going to
not-
be my question. Are you going to continue that all the way to the corner? Or does it end
If it's
at?
possible by the outdoor seating, yes, I would do it.
Do you keep that stuff out there all year round? The umbrellas?
I'm
and
not
the-
supposed to.
No, I'm just saying. If you're-
No, the umbrellas come
We're
out.
saying it's activating it.
Yeah,
Well, it's
they
either
are-
activating it part of the year or it's activating it.
The umbrellas
whole
come
year.
out and the seating stays. Believe it or not, people sit out, all kinds of weather.
And
It's
it-
beyond my
Cup of
comprehension.
coffee in the winter,
But,
you know.
Right.
yeah.
So I think the strong horizontal on the top, really, you have to unify everything that happens below that. And yes, it's to Stephen's point, traditionally, you would go every, 12 feet, 20 feet for a door front. But I think you've got enough going on in the front with the raised platform and the seating to begin with, that it really, you don't feel that it's just this barren.
I think as long as you do well,
Right.
and there's lots of people out there eating away,
Fingers crossed.
we're all going to be happy, right?
So I would be in support of this, and I think that also to Mr. Smollen's point is that this is reversible. So if somebody came along and wanted to divide it into a more traditional storefront, they could easily put a door with.
Yeah.
Just change it.
Yeah, just change it, I mean, from the center of it. And the other thing is, I think the glass, I mean, it's really, you see what's going on inside. So I think, and it's always very active, and it's a beautiful interior. It's clean, and the lighting is good. So I think to continue that into, the dark hole that was on to the north, I think is really beneficial to the whole Upper Montclair business district. So I would be in support.
Thank you.
There are a couple of recommendations, I think, that we want to make, considering the wood. You said you don't want to use.
I mean, I'm just concerned about the weather and how ugly it gets with the maintenance and
But
stuff
if
like
you,
that.
what type of wood would
Yeah,
look
they-
like that white oak you said it is?
Is vital.
they make some amazing products these days.
Yeah, the composites are getting
Right.
really.
That's what I'm trying to,
They
like, the
look
composite that
like
looks exactly
wood,
like that.
yeah.
Right.
And makes it look the same, but it's whether it,
Right,
It's
right.
it's
Yeah.
sustainable.
I'd be for a product like the, otherwise it's gonna turn into what it looks like now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's not that we're saying that the Secretary of Interior Standards has come out with a whole, we could send it to you as well, to use substitutes for natural materials like wood. But I just want to make sure that you replicate what's
Oh, no,
up there
the
now,
intent-
that it looks
The
like.
intent is to source something that it replicates what's there.
Right.
And you would run it all the way, start
Yeah,
over,
yeah.
not just start here.
No,
and
no,
go
of
here.
course.
Okay, no, yeah, well, start over.
Well, that's another point. Is there a
Okay.
seam in the middle of it? No, I asked about a seam for the awning, but there's indicated on this that there's a seam in the horizontal wood.
Well, I think that, you're not going to find a 50-foot piece
Yeah,
of
that was.
wood.
But not a straight
There's going to be
seam
some
either.
sort of
There are
natural
seams now.
connection.
There are
but
seams
they'll
now when they
stagger those
exist.
joints to where it's not going to look like a constant
Okay,
break
that,
like that. yes.
okay, because that's what it looks like
That's a
here.
condition.
That's right. Were there any other conditions? You're going to come back for signage and lighting, and, were there any other? Zanab, do you have anything else?
I don't.
Okay. All right, well, it looks like it'll be a great, like I said, it'll be really a nice addition to the district.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you have to call a motion to approve it?
Yes, we'll have a motion to approve. It's a C of A.
Subject to-
Subject to
Signage and,
signage and lighting being approved and minimizing any seam in the wood paneling.
and also that the composite that's used replicate the white oak that's
Yes.
there now. So you get that nice variation of, it looks very nice now with the color, the black and the brick and everything. Oh, what about the masonry? You're not the landlord, correct?
I
Is
wish
there?
I was.
Yeah, because we usually, when we do something like this, we suggest that the masonry be cleaned. The front, but I guess we can if he's not the landlord.
I
Right.
mean, we could,
He
the
knows
lower
I wish I
level
was.
where he's occupying probably, there isn't much there.
Yeah, there's not much there. You've got the mural and the glass and what about the back? The
Collect enough rent that he'll.
But is the rear in bad shape that the masonry needs to be, I didn't really
Of the
look.
building, the first floor, the rear of the building is a single-story is the single-story portion of the building. And it is predominantly covered with and I hate to say this, stucco-type material. There's not really any exposed masonry back there that looks as though it needs or it is in need of repair. It's hard to tell. But once we remove the doors that are back there, we would just continue the stucco and clean it up and put a fresh coat of paint all the way across. Pretty much, similar color to what it is currently.
So your intent is to take these all out?
Those doors in this front, yeah, that's where the storage,
But all the glass?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then what will,
this the
Yes.
kitchen operation and bathrooms.
but what's the material that you're going to?
It's going to be the same as what's on the side.
The stucco?
Yes.
Okay,
Here's those windows.
right.
And now this is what they're doing.
And then the trash enclosure goes in front of it?
Yeah.
It's just so it's flat wall behind.
Okay, and was there any?
Clean it all up.
Right, no, I think that's good. Is there any question about the trash enclosure?
Yeah, just that storefront that is there now that we're removing, I'm still trying to figure out, and I've been in the space 100 times, exactly why the two doors were there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very odd
It used to be
configuration.
a movie rental place, so there's a way in and a way out.
Oh, okay. Blockbuster?
Yeah.
I remember.
The glass door and transom under
You
the
went bust.
new awning, you said you were closing that off behind it?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, when you described that door originally, the glass, is that an entrance for customers? Is it into the restaurant?
It is currently, but it won't be
That's
in the
what I'm
future.
asking. So you're closing it off?
No. Which door in particular?
The first door on the right, I'm sorry, the absolute far left is the door that leads you to service way to the cellar. And then the next door is a service way into the kitchen area.
Like take out the garbage?
Yeah, taking out, yeah. So customers will not be entering through that door anymore.
And the signage is there for people who can't find.
Identifying the property itself. When they park their car, they know exactly where the building is and deliveries.
Okay. Is there any conditions on that, then? No?
No. So did someone move already?
Yes, no, I don't think we did.
We did.
Someone like to move that,
I move we accept the project as described, subject to conditions.
okay, second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Aye.
All right, good, great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's the biggest smile we've gotten from you all night. I know, that's what I was
Oh. You did well.
How did we do?
All right, thank you, good luck.
Food is fantastic, by the way. Yeah.
I guess then that is, good night, thank you. That is, our order of business is. Yeah.
Wait, why do I have like my pocketbook in my hands?
I'll move to adjourn.
All right, who's gonna, let's move to adjourn and shut off the cameras. All right,
Move to
second.
second.
All right, it's 9:10 and we're ready
John's
to.
action seconds it. You got it?
All right, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next month, which will
Good
be
rest of July.
August 21st.
So we actually rescheduled our meeting to August 14th.
Oh, that's right, right.
So we August 14th, it's a Thursday. We currently don't have any business scheduled, so let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want to talk about this?
Yes, can you just hang out, yeah, after, what we're going to do.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, good night.